Hello everyone, my name is Josephine Worley and I'm going to be giving you a walkthrough of my kindergarten ELA lesson plan. So as I stated, the content / grade level is kindergarten. The standard that I have selected is KR3, which is obviously reading, and the specific learning standard is to identify characters, settings, major events in a story or pieces of information in a text. And my learning objective for my lesson plan is today, students will be able to indicate characters, setting, major events in a story or pieces of information from the story Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sednak. So I am just going to jump in as if I was starting this with my class. And just for some context, my call for attention, I have personally always preferred to utilize the lights in my classroom. I am not one for flashing because I've noticed amongst other people using that method that seems to kind of trigger or alarm some kids. So I just like to turn my lights off, which usually calls the children's attention to me. And that's when I would sing our group attention song, which goes, eyes are watching, ears are listening, voices quiet, bodies calm. This is how we listen, this is how we listen at group time, at group time. And first I would start with have any of you heard of words in a story like setting? Can anybody tell me if we've heard the word setting? So here I have a piece of paper with some pictures on it, and we're gonna start with setting. The setting of a story is where the story is happening. And here I've got some pictures of some places that we can use as some examples. Did the story happen on a farm, or at a school, or maybe on the beach, or maybe like our story today, part of it happens in a forest? You know, those are some really good examples. What about the word plot? Has anybody heard the word plot before? Yes, you friend? That's an excellent way to put it. It's what happens in the story. And this is the picture that I've got to show you what a plot is. It shows 3 boxes on a roller coaster, 3 carts on a roller coaster, and we have the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story. And this is how it starts. We start getting details about the story, and in the middle, usually something important happens that makes us realize what the story is about. And then we usually figure that problem out. We find a solution, and that's the end of our story. How about characters? I think we all know the word characters. What about characters? I've got some pictures here. Do we recognize any of these characters? Yes, I think we might recognize. We see Mouse from If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, and Pete the cat, and Bluey, and Curious George. We all have characters that we know and love, and these are who we're reading the story about. These are who have the problems, what they're doing, how they solve their problem. And what about theme? Can anybody tell me what the word theme means? Yes. Now plot, remember, plot is what happens in the story. The theme is what the story is about. Is the story about family? Is this story supposed to help us in school? Is this story supposed to help us with our feelings? Or is this just supposed to be a silly story that makes us laugh? Excellent, excellent, excellent. So what we're going to do now is we're going to read Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sednak. And as a pause for the people who are watching this video, this is where I would read the story, but for those of you that might be familiar with it, it is a little bit long. So I thought for the purposes of this video, we would just skip that. And then this is where we would be joining in that group area to have a discussion about these things that we talked about from the story that we just read specifically. So we're going to talk about the plot. We're going to talk about Max getting sent to his room, seeking out the wild things. Why did he do that? Why did he look for those things to play with? What was the end result? What was waiting for Max when he came back home? And what do we think the themes of this story might be? You know, I'm really going to engage them with a little bit of leading, because these are kindergartners and these are new words that they're learning. So, you know, you might have to give some suggestion to lead them in the right direction. And then as for my handout for this project, a really fun activity that I found after doing some research, utilizing a resource like Teachers Pay Teachers, I found some story puppets that take you along the story of where the wild things are. And what I really like about this is I would utilize my art center and really give the children the opportunity to use this as an open-ended material. They can cut these out however they'd like, they can decorate them however they'd like, and then you put them on craft sticks so that they have story puppets to tell the story whenever they want, whether they have the book or not. And I feel like that is something that really helps them take away that information that they were pulling from the book. The characters, the plot, the theme, it's all present in this activity that I'm giving them, but I'm also allowing them to make it their own. So I really thought that this would be a great idea for this project, and I think I'm gonna tuck this away and keep it for if I ever need it, or to you know, loan out to one of the UPK classrooms at my center, because I really think this would be so fun, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much.